Oh, this is it. We're down to all the marbles, and it's the Dodgers, just like we all thought. Canada!
Step up to the plate. It's the Locked On MLB Squad Show. From the Dodgers to the Astros, the Mets to the Rangers, and everyone else in the league, with the experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you the most comprehensive breakdown of all the action around the horn. We're coming in spikes up. No hurt feelings allowed, so squad up.
This is the latest edition of the Locked On MLB Squad Show. Hello, my name is Jeff Carr. I am one half of Locked On Reds. I am the channel manager for Locked On MLB. Joining me here today is Jeremiah Geiger from Locked On Marlins, one half of Locked On Guardians, and Justin Latta. And of course, the inimitable, I'm making up words at this point, Sully is here from Locked On MLB, and we're going to tell you all about our predictions for the World Series and why they are probably exactly right. So make sure you listen in, because it feels like the Dodgers have been off for a month, as it took 7 games to figure out the ALCS, and now we know it's the Toronto Blue Jays that will oppose them. And that is going to be quite the matchup, because it feels as though these Blue Jays have just got it all figured out, right? Right? That's all coming up on today's Squad Show that's brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download FanDuel today. And also joining us now is also Booney from Locked On A's. And guys, as we look at this World Series, it's obviously going to be the Dodgers, and they're probably going to win in like 4 games, right? Because, I mean, obviously they're ruining baseball, and we have to have this story come to an end, right? It's got to be their ruination has to be final, correct?
No, and I really can't. I can't understand. Like I live here in LA County, and everyone's just the only question they're asking here is, will there be a three-peat? And all my people who are big Yankee fans and everything around or A's fans or whatever teams were around the country have been texting me and said, do the Blue Jays have a shot, or is this just going to be in sweep? And I'm going like, have I been watching a different team? First of all, the Blue Jays have home field advantage. Granted, so did Milwaukee. But we've seen that the Blue Jays can hit with anybody. And believe me, I did a whole apologies episode because everyone has been underestimating the Blue Jays the entire year. And they're in the World Series, and they did so in a dramatic fashion. And they're probably not going to throw to the wrong base to end a series. They're probably going to score more than 4 runs the entire series like Milwaukee did. I don't understand why people are acting like this is they're the Washington Generals.
I mean, to your point, like Ernie Clement had more hits in the ALCS than the Brewers did as a team in the NLCS. So
there was a period of time in the Game 4, which I attended, where Shohei Ohtani had as many home runs in that game as the Brewers had runs in their entire series. That's not going to happen with the Toronto Blue Jays. I don't understand why people are acting like this is just a complete mismatch.
Can we also stop pretending that this whole thing is ruining baseball too?
Oh yeah,
I know. Okay.
I agree.
Is there a financial disparity issue? Absolutely, there is a disparity issue that needs to be addressed. I don't have the answers for it. Otherwise, Rob Manfred might hire me, and I might, tell him to go kiss off because I don't want to work for Rob Manfred. But the Blue Jays are 5th in payroll? Like, they're still a big market payroll team.
Big market in our country. They have a whole country.
Exactly.
Canada, Team Canada.
I don't know what the exchange rate is these days, but I'm pretty sure they're still paying a good amount of money. They still kept Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for a boatload of Francois, and they were able to sign George Springer. They were able to sign Kevin Gausman, right? They still made Jeff Hoffman, who, wasn't that good. So let's not pretend that there's like this David Goliath thing here that's going on. The Blue Jays have a huge payroll. If you spend, you get in, and that increases your odds of not screwing up in the postseason unless you throw to the wrong base, as Sully said. But this is not killing baseball. There's a whole different issue here. But the Blue Jays are also a top 5 spending team. So this is not like this is not a David Goliath situation.
Well, and to your point too, like I don't know if everybody's seen that whole Forbes thing that I think it was Brooksgate posted on Twitter. It was mentioning that, so many teams have spent 50% or less of their revenue on their payroll. To the Blue Jays' credit, they're one of the teams that actually outspend their ranking as far as where their revenue and where their payroll is. So they've really worked at this. I mean, when you look at it, Booney, do you feel as though it's just going to be an easy walkthrough for the Dodgers, or do you think the Blue Jays have a shot?
I'm with Sully on it. I think the Blue Jays have an extremely good shot. One thing that didn't get exposed in the Brewers-Dodgers series, because the Dodgers starting pitching was so darn good and went so damn deep, was the bullpen. And I think the Brewers hitting from top to bottom is going to shorten that outing from 5 to 6 innings rather than in the Brewers series going from 7 to 8. And I think that's a big deal. The Brewers are good. They're really, really good. And I think they're going to surprise a lot of people.
Blue Jays.
Maybe not surprise a lot of people.
You meant the Blue Jays.
Brewers would be very surprising if they were still playing.
I already said
Freudian slip is clear. Booney really.
I'm gonna go to FanDuel and put my money on the Brewers in the World Series.
Brewers Mariners is going to be a hell of a series. But yeah, no, I mean, Jeremiah, like the bullpen of it all. I have said that since the wild card. I said that in the DS. I thought that the bullpen was going to be the Achilles heel of the Dodgers, and it just never seems like they even get to the bullpen.
Yeah,
as good as their starting pitching has been.
Well, quickly, too, about the payroll issue and killing baseball. How about the Mets with the second biggest payroll? They didn't even make the playoffs, courtesy of your Miami Marlins, by the way, and the Cincinnati Reds.
Thank you very much. Yes.
But I think the Blue Jays have an excellent shot. Their
2 days.
offense is incredible. I mean, they can hit – when they get hot, they're going to hit homers in boatloads. And the Dodgers' starting rotation has their work cut out. Do they have a really good rotation? Yeah, obviously. But – that rotation doesn't go through a whole season unscathed. They're not going to go through, I don't believe, the World Series unscathed. So I think the Blue Jays have to start off on the right foot. They got the home field advantage. If they come out flat, then yeah, the Dodgers are going to have all the momentum going back to LA. But don't get it twisted. This Blue Jays offense is legit. It's why they're in the World Series.
I thought that the Mariners had a better chance to beat the Dodgers in the World Series, but now I've kind of changed my mind because the Blue Jays are a more complete team. The Mariners were a terrible defensive team this year. They didn't run the bases well. The Blue Jays don't have defensive issues. In fact, they have a lot of ex-Guardians on their team because they play good defense. And now make no mistake about it, I'm rooting for the Guardians of the North to win the whole thing somehow. But just happened from rooting baseball, obviously. But because they have Vlad Guerrero and they have Alejandro Kirk and they have Dalton Varsho and Bo Bichette should be able to come back for them. Because they have George Springer, they can make it work where they have a Jimenez and a Straw and a Clement. And Clement obviously had a great CS. They are a more complete team than the Mariners were. Their bullpen, I thought, would be an issue for them. But I think their manager has it figured out. Like, there's a lot of talk about relievers this year. And the third time a team has seen a reliever in a series, he's mixed it up really well. They have a good rotation. If they can get into the Dodgers bullpen, which I know is hard, I think they're right. I think Jeremiah's right. They can absolutely do it. And I think they have a shot.
Dodgers right now are minus 215. That's the odds. 215 to win 100. The highest of all time was the A's over the Reds in 91. That was 90. Minus 90, excuse me.
And how'd that work out?
Not very good. It's 330.
35 years ago yesterday. 35 years ago yesterday. That's sweeping.
A couple of tiny things. These 3 tiny things could have gone one way or the other, and we're not looking at LA. Freddie Freeman picks up a ball in the dirt thrown by Tommy Edman in Game 2 against Philadelphia. That was a middle of the Dodger bullpen meltdown. And if he doesn't scoop that ball out, the game is tied. Okay. Bryce Terang gets his leg out of the way of an inside pitch with the bases loaded with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. That ball hits him. It's a blown save. And of course, if Orion Keckering remembers that there's 2 outs and doesn't throw the ball to Mary Hart, then that game's going into extra, going to the next inning. Who knows what Philadelphia does? one of the shocking things about Milwaukee was they played so not the type of baseball we saw all year long. They made errors, but most importantly, they were swinging early. They were swinging first pitch, which allowed them to have Blake Snell do something Kevin Cash couldn't even imagine, which was pitch 8 innings, or to allow Yamamoto to say, "Hey, I have an idea of what to do with our bullpen. We'll have him throw a complete game." But Trinan stinks. And he let up runs against Philadelphia. He surprised the only run he let up in game. They let up in game 4, the Ohtani game. Surprise! It was off of Trinan. He nearly blew the save in game 1. If the ball hit his leg, then boom. Those couple of dumb moves by the other team. If Toronto doesn't play dumb baseball, I think they have a shot. Do I think it's easy? Do I think they're going to pull the Cincinnati Reds in 1990 and sweep them? No, but I do not understand the people who are acting like this is it's just seeing who's going to Dodgers are going to beat. They don't even have home field advantage.
So, like Sully says, the Dodgers are lucky. Now, I do find an interesting prop bet here coming up next that I want to dive into because it does have to do with the Dodgers and their starting pitching. Let's be real. Making excuses doesn't solve anything. We've all heard them before. It's just stress. I'm tired. Or it happens to everyone sometimes. But when it comes to performance, sometimes your body just needs a little extra support. And that's where Rugiet comes in. Rugiet.com offers fast-acting doctor-prescribed treatments for ED designed to help you stop making excuses start making moves. Rugiet makes it easy to get started. You just connect with board-certified doctor 100% online. No awkward waiting rooms, no in-person appointments. If prescribed, your treatment ships discreetly straight to your door. The process is fast, simple, and private, and it's all handled by real doctors. Visit rugiet.com/LockedOnMLB and get 15% off your first order. That's rugiet.com/LockedOnMLB. And don't forget to use our code LockedOnMLB so they know that we sent you. Rugiet, stop making excuses and start making moves. Your favorite MLB team has a MLB podcast right here on Locked On because we cover every team every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Make sure that you make us part of your everyday routine on YouTube and on your favorite audio platform because we are free and available everywhere you get your podcast. All right, so I saw this interesting thing, and it has to do with the starting pitching, obviously, unless a relief pitcher comes in and does that, and I would be surprised. There's a prop for any starting pitcher to have 12 or more strikeouts in a game on this World Series, and the odds on that are plus 350. That kind of feels like the Dodgers will hit that, or will it be Kevin Gausman? I don't know, but do we see the Dodgers starting pitchers going long enough into World Series games to accomplish such a feat?
That is not happening because the Blue Jays were one of the teams that have struck out the least in the postseason.
Yeah.
Now the Dodgers have struck out, their rotation has struck out the most batters, but I'm going to say the Blue Jays lineup has enough power hitters to grind out at bats, enough contact hitters for balance, but that's not going to happen. But I'm just glad the prop bet isn't if the pitcher is going to throw a ball in his first pitch, honestly.
Yeah, you would have some knowledge of that one. Unfortunately, it's clear though that the power is a big thing, and I mean we've seen a lot of home runs really change these playoffs. And I mean, Jeremiah, when you got a guy like Vladimir Guerrero in your lineup, you can play with anybody.
Yeah, I think the 12 strikeouts is such an interesting prop bet to me because I could see a guy like Blake Snell go out there and go 5 2/3 and 12 strikeouts, but his pitch count's so elevated that he leaves the game early. He just has that firepower. You mentioned Gausman. Gausman's one of the most volatile pitchers I can remember being the ace of the staff because during the regular season, he was just so inconsistent. He'd go 8 innings one game and then give up 5-6 earned runs the next game. The power for the Blue Jays is the key in this series to me. It's if Vlad Guerrero can continue this MVP level performance, earning every single dollar of the contract. And I see no reason why not to believe this is going to continue. He has the supporting cast. He has the protection in the lineup. We just saw George Springer. Bo Bichette's going to be back, hopefully, for the World Series. So call me crazy. I really like this Blue Jays team to give the Dodgers starting rotation trouble. I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park like it was against Milwaukee. I just don't. I think this Blue Jays team is legit, and they're gonna hit the ground running.
By the way, Jeremiah, I think it's absurd to think that any manager would take Blake Snell out of a game before the end of the sixth inning. I mean, what kind of parallel universe?
Especially in the World Series, right?
Especially in a do or die where it's like where it's airing it all out. Why would anyone in their right mind do that? He will never live that down. That is his Grady little moment. One of the things that I think you're 100% right, and I think that the strikeout thing is not going to be an issue. This is a contact hitting team. This is a smart team. And yes, Vladimir Guerrero got 3 home runs. Somehow Andres Jimenez got 2 home runs, which is surreal. He has more postseason home runs than Willie Mays. And, George Springer hit his 3 home runs and everything like that. But this is not a Yankees launch angle. We're just swinging from our heels. This is a smart hitting team. They'll shorten up their swings and go to right field. They do situational baseball. They will squeeze a couple of runs here or there and then get the big honking home run. And that's one of you saw them do. Obviously they did that like crazy against New York, but they did that against Seattle as well, especially after the first 2 games. Remember, both Milwaukee and Toronto were down 0-2 going to the other city. Milwaukee never recovered, and Toronto dusted themselves off. And you saw that from when they had the 13-2 or 13-4. Sorry, they had that game where they fell behind early. Everyone in Seattle is throwing their Starbucks in the air, and then it wasn't just the Springer home run. It wasn't just the Jimenez home run. It was single by Lucas, double by Guerrero, walk, Varsho gets a hit. Like they up and down the lineup, they just have smart at bats. They grind it out, so they're gonna get to the bullpen faster. And hell of it, I'm saying it's a Toronto sweep. I don't think LA has a chance.
Interesting.
Okay,
no, thank you.
Okay, okay.
That is funny to hear, though. Andres Jimenez has more postseason home runs than Willie Mays. You gotta love that.
He has more than Willie Mays and Ted Williams combined.
That's an unbelievable stat. I never would have guessed.
And hell, Ernie Banks, for that matter, if you want to throw him in, because he never played the postseason.
Started Joey Votto, started adding up a whole bunch of different guys.
Didn't Votto hit one against the Giants in 2012?
One, yeah, but like
okay. Oh, that's right. He would have more. You're right. You're right. My point, but I guess combined because Willie Mays did hit one in the playoffs. So.
Yeah. Exactly. So that'll be. I don't know. Like I find it intriguing this whole series, the way that this matchup has fallen. The Dodgers seem to have waltzed through the NL portion of these playoffs, and we said that the NL was supposed to be the toughest of the 2 leagues. And it felt like the more entertaining series happened on the American League side. Would you agree?
Well, I can tell you, I went to a hell of an entertaining game at Dodger Stadium when I saw Shohei Ohtani hit 3 home runs and pitch 6 shutout innings.
Okay.
Under the entertaining quality,
maybe closer.
I think the postseason has had 4 really, or I think 5 really great games. I think the first game, the game where Crochet beat the Yankees at Yankee Stadium was a great game. Obviously, the final game between Seattle and Detroit, that was just an all-time game.
Yeah.
I thought the Orion Keckering game, and I hate that that's what it's called, but that was a really amazing game. The final game between Toronto and Seattle, Game 7, was terrific. And then, of course, you have Ohtani having the greatest individual performance in the history of the postseason. Those are 5 really memorable games. That maybe 4 because I'm leaning one that the one Red Sox win, but that was a hell of a game. But okay, let's take my bias out of it. You've had 4 really, really good games before we get to the World Series, and I think that they're evenly distributed between the American League and the National League.
I think I was just going to say, I think the reason that you haven't seen the NL as competitive is because the Dodgers are a veteran team that has turned it on the postseason. Normally, it's very dangerous to be a team that, obviously, that they won enough games to win their division, and their division's not weak by any means, but they were not the top seed overall in the playoffs. They didn't get a first round bye at all, but they've turned it on in October. And that's because they have a group of guys in this team, the Freddie Freemans that have been there before, the Mookie Bettses, now it's Ohtani there. They have all these guys in this roster that have been there a couple times now throughout their time with the Dodgers, their teams. They can turn it on in October, and that's what they've done. They have moved into October mode. That's what they've been playing for all year. So that's why I feel like they haven't had any pushback. And I wonder when we get to the first game of the World Series or this series at all, if the Toronto Blue Jays, who have had to kind of fight through the entire postseason, at least they had a first round bye, the 2 series they've played, they've had to fight a little bit more tooth and nail. And I wonder if that will make them a little more, not motivated, but the Dodgers probably haven't had as much pushback. So I wonder how that plays.
Let's go around the horn and make our predictions coming up next. There's still time to get in on this great introductory offer over on FanDuel. I know that we're in the middle of football season and all that stuff, but of course the World Series is starting on Friday night, and we've got the odds for the series winner. The Dodgers are favored, -220, no surprise there. You've got the odds on the Blue Jays winning at +184. It's interesting because it kind of feels like I've been picking against the Dodgers all postseason, and I'm just not going to do it. Like, kind of feel like -220 is hard to put any kind of money on, but I think I'm picking the Dodgers to win this World Series. And if you've got a choice, you can go make yours over on FanDuel, and new users can place a $5 wager, and if it wins, you get $300 in bonus bets. That's a crazy good offer. Go download that FanDuel app today. Kind of feels like we're all picking the Blue Jays, huh? I don't know there, Jeremiah. What do you think?
Going into this season, a lot of people didn't think the Blue Jays were a playoff team, much less going to win the division, go to the World Series, and now they face the mighty Dodgers. The best team money can buy. Anything short of a World Series trophy is a failure, and I see the series going one of two ways. The Dodgers put the money where their mouth is and go out and sweep the Blue Jays or win it in 5, or the Blue Jays make this an all-time classic. They win in 6 or 7. I got the Toronto Blue Jays shocking the world in Game 7, slaying the Dragon, and winning the World Series.
I like it. I was told at the beginning of the year that John Schneider needed firing, Sully. I can't remember who said that.
I was me. And
that's right.
I have completely apologized to the nation of Canada for insinuating that he needed to be fired. I thought I'd been adamant about it. And do you know what? I was wrong. I was wrong about a lot of things about the Toronto Blue Jays. A lot of them. I've underestimated them. I thought both the Red Sox and the Yankees would clobber them if they faced each other in the division series. I thought Seattle was going to get in. Every turn I've picked against them. And I look at this and I see last year. Look at the Dodgers deserved the World Series title last year, but they avoided the Phillies because the Mets took them out, and I thought the Phillies were a deeper team. Last year, the Dodgers had a mess in their starting rotation. When they had Sandy Koufax throughout the first pitch, they asked him, "Could you give us 4?" I mean, they scheduled a bullpen game, not a bullpen game because it was an 18-inning game. That was part of their rotation, was a bullpen game last year. And Dave Roberts was able to, overpower a Mets team that was, played a little over their head and deserved their spot, that they were not in the same league, and a very dumb team in the Yankees. They are Biff Tannen from Back to the Future, who bullied their way into the World Series. And they earned their pennant last year, but what was the scouting report? Put the ball in play. They're dumb. They faced a Phillies team and they faced a Reds team who they made the playoffs, and that was their victory. I'm sorry, Jeff. That was their victory. And they did a terrific job. But they didn't have a prayer. And then they beat a Phillies team that played tight. that played super tight in all 3 of their losses, and a Brewers team that played tight. If Toronto doesn't play tight, they're not a dumb team. They have a terrific lineup up and down. The Dodgers have the advantage in the rotation, but Toronto has the advantage in the bullpen. And they have the smart contact hitters who get into that bullpen. That is why I am picking the Dodgers in 6.
I like it. Justin, your thoughts?
I have to go. I think Jeremiah and Sully summed that up pretty well, actually. I didn't think the Blue Jays had a shot to start the year either. I thought a lot of those people were going to be fired, especially all the ex-Clevelanders that are up there. We're going to be looking for new jobs. I didn't think they were going to keep Vlad Guerrero either. The bullpen, to me, isn't as big a mismatch. Like, obviously, the Dodgers bullpen is a dumpster fire, but the Blue Jays bullpen isn't so good that it's just like, so many paces above them. So I don't think it really cancels out as much as we think it does. And there's just no breaks in that Dodgers lineup. Like, you're facing Shohei Ohtani to lead off the game. You're going to Mookie Betts. Then you got to face Freddie Freeman. And Teoscar Hernandez has been terrible for a while now. I don't know what he's done in the postseason, but he's going to heat up again, I'm pretty sure.
Hitting dingers in the postseason.
Yeah. So, and you think he doesn't want revenge in Toronto? Like, he was there for a little bit too, and they didn't re-sign him. I think the deeper the series goes, the Blue Jays do have a better shot to win, but the Dodgers, like I said, there's no breaks in that lineup. The rotation has just been too good in the postseason. I think there's too many spots in the lineup for the Blue Jays that are easier to navigate through. So I'm going to say Dodgers in 5, unfortunately.
I love everything that the Blue Jays have put together, and I was really impressed. And that was Forbes reporting on the revenue and all that other stuff. That's not like public reporting because nobody makes the revenue public. But Forbes says that according to the revenue, the Blue Jays are actually lower on the list than they are on the payroll list. They're actually a lot higher on how much they spend on payroll. So I admire the heck out of that in a day and age when it seems like, we've got the teams like the Cubs that are really not trying to spend their revenue at all. I think it would be easy for Toronto to pack that in, but I think there's something to, like you said, the whole idea of keeping Vlad. That being said, I think the Dodgers win in 5. I just think they're inevitable. I think this is Thanos before Infinity War, not Thanos before Endgame. So I think that ultimately they're just going to end up and win this thing, and then we are going to go into an off season with nothing but absolutely good feelings amongst the teams and the players and the owners and all that good stuff as we head into the final year of the season.
And I'll say this: the villains in baseball are not the Mets nor the Dodgers, in my opinion. And I think, and I said this in a podcast during the All-Star break, which was, I think it's absurd that we're even thinking about a labor stoppage because it has nothing to do with owners versus players. The players gave up a lot in the last time. They have a revenue tax. There's a luxury tax threshold. There's revenue sharing. What this is, it's 28 owners versus 2 owners. It's 28 owners saying, okay, we're going to live by this revenue sharing. And the Mets and the Dodgers say, we don't care. We're just going to do whatever we want. And we'll pay the tax. Here's our blank check. We don't care. And so it's to say we're going to have a labor stoppage. It's just, you get your house in order. And when you have a team like the Pirates, who now are going to go into year 3 of Paul Skeens, who have that there's really only 6, maybe 7 legitimate aces when Cole comes back, and the Pirates have one of them, and you can't put a mediocre team around him. You're going to be in you have control. The gods have forged an ace and placed him in your hands, and now you're going to go into year 3. You had first year, okay, fine. It's a surprise. Second year, there's no excuse that you don't have a major league team around them. Next year, if they don't, they're the problem. And there should be, forget a salary cap. No one can show me evidence that salary caps would create more parity. How much more parity do you want in baseball with a number of repeats? Championships don't exist. We've had every team win at least one playoff game since... since 2010? Is that what I mean? It's
Game
like
or series? Because
This
I know
game,
one
at
of the
least
past
one
ones-
game.
Have a win in that time? Because I don't know if they do.
Who?
The Angels. They lost the Royals in 2015. I don't know. If
Okay,
they won it
so the
in
last
that
time the
year.
Angels won a playoff game was 09. But we know that's a small market. I mean,
You want to talk about a team that's ruining baseball? It's the
Small-minded
Angels.
market.
They
what
had
it is,
Ohtani and Trout, and they couldn't
They-
win, make a
they
single
could
playoff
they
series.
couldn't reach 500.
Yeah,
So
that's ruining baseball.
A salary floor and some sort of accountability of revenue sharing. If you're taking the revenue sharing and you're pocketing it, you're the problem in base. There has to be accounting. I said this when we got our relief money because we had the huge fires here in Pasadena in January, and the schools, because a couple of schools in our district burnt down, we got relief money for our classroom. It was like $500, and we had to account for every dollar that we received. This is how we spent it on our classroom. We had to spend all 500, but we had to show I wasn't going to Starbucks. This goes to this thing. These go to the pens. This goes for a wagon that we need to bring supplies to our classroom. We need to do that, and there has to be a public audit. Here's the revenue sharing. How did you put that into either re-signing your players, international free agents, or acquiring new players? And if a dime of that isn't going to those three things, guess what? You have to give it all back.
Mm-hmm. I like that because then you're also, I mean, especially teams that have public money for stadiums, like there's absolutely no reason for that stuff to be hidden from the public at that point. So
Athletics lose their share of revenue sharing because of that. I think they were
threatened to. I think that was like a threat, but I don't think that actually happened. Because I remember that being like something with the Coliseum, and now it's all different. I know, Sully, you know a lot more about that than I do. But I remember that they had to spend so much on their salary this year, or they would lose the revenue sharing, and that's why they ended up with Luis Severino, who loves
weird how that worked. They were threatened with that, and all of a sudden they started spending. Maybe Rob Manfred should follow through on that a little bit more.
Yeah,
I think so. And I think that's a great spot to end it. So looking forward to this World Series and, of course, the offseason as well. Got you all covered here on Locked On MLB and with Locked On Guardians, Locked On Marlins, Locked On A's, and Locked On Reds, and all of your favorite teams in between, because we are all part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.